Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Movie Chat, presented by Press Play Streaming Studios. We invite you to join us for a lighthearted, sometime comedic take on movies, TV, and all things pop culture. Sit back, have fun, and press play. All right, how's everyone doing? We're here at the Press Play Streaming Studios. I am your host, Alan Gambrell.
And I'm Stephen Gambrell. I'm glad to be back this week from the unknown, Alan. I was located off at an island somewhere, and I'm glad to be back.
So was Liam Neeson actually there to?
He was not. He was not. No, I got Samuel L. Jackson instead.
Nice.
Yeah, I woke up to him yelling "mother effer" at me over and over again.
It was very good.
Very scary.
Very good. So what are we going to be talking about tonight, Stephen?
We're going into The Dark Knight. Movie came out in 2008. One of a kind when it comes to, the way, if you look at superhero movies now versus back then, everything back then was kind of childish and lovey-dovey. And this movie really brought the darkness of what maybe real world would be like if Batman were a thing.
I agree. And there's a lot we'll go into in a little bit further detail to go into that. I want to also take a moment to do two things. One, again, I want to thank Mr. Adam McLean for the writing and performing our intro music in our comment section below the video. There is a link in there for you to find his music, and he would love for you to go check it out. Don't forget also to like, subscribe, and after the video, it really helps, if you didn't know, to just leave a comment. And we don't care if the comments are positive or negative. We want your feedback. Also, and down there is our Twitter contact and our Facebook contact, as well as our email. Use our email if you have any suggestions for the show on movies you'd like to see us do or topics you'd like to see us cover. Please send us an email. We would absolutely love to talk to you. I'd like to also take a moment here to let you know about our guest tonight. Our guest name is Mr. Matthew Million. I like to call him Easy Money. And he is coming to us tonight from places unknown. He is a self-proclaimed Marvel movie fanatic. He likes superhero movies in general. And when we were talking and he found out that we were doing The Dark Knight, he was very pleased to come on. What do you say we welcome Matt on
Let's
board?
Let's get it going. Let's get him on.
Good evening, Matt.
Gentlemen.
What's happening,
How
man?
are you doing, sir?
Great. How you doing, boys?
Doing very
awesome,
well. So, Matt, you have actually, you said you wanted to do The Dark Knight with us, but I know that also you were telling me that there's a movie that you would like to talk about. For those of you who may or may not have been a part of Press Play Streaming Studios Movie Chat in the past, something that you need to know is that our guests get to actually choose a video or a movie or a TV show that they'd like to talk about, and we do not get to know what that is prior to the actual live stream. So, Matt, what do you got? What do you got for us here at Press Play tonight?
Man, I'm actually really excited about this one. This one could go both ways. A little nervous about it. Some people may even say it's lowbrow. I disagree. I think that it's going to be right down your alley.
Okay,
let's bring it.
So it's a little love story, but it also has action and Satan and God. It is Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny.
Let it rip, baby. All right. So if we were sitting around a bar and we were all having drinks and talking movies, and you were trying to sell Press Play on watching your movie with Tenacious D, how would you do that? Let us in on the secret.
The secret is, have you ever heard of Jack Black?
Yes.
I have no clue who that is.
Big fan.
Big fan. No, so Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny. It's funny because I think that about 45 seconds of the whole movie pretty much ruins it for an entire crowd. It can be a little harsh, but overall, I think it's hilarious. One, storyline, hilarious. I typically don't like musicians switching over, but
Right.
Jack Black is great. I think he is a genius, and I think the movie it couldn't have been shot better than it was.
Well, let me tell you my opinion on Jack Black. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is not necessarily going to be a popular opinion. But for me personally, Jack Black, he's getting ready to hell off and hit me if I say something negative. My problem with Jack Black is I'll see one movie with him in it and be like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's so funny. And the next one, I'm like, yeah, it's an hour of my life I'll never get back.
I think that's fair.
He reminds me a lot of Adam Sandler like that, where it's just like some of them are great, some of them aren't.
I think that's fair, but I also think Jack Black is who he is, and he doesn't really, waver from what he normally does. He's
I'll
the
agree with
same
that.
guy in everything, even in King Kong. He was the same Jack Black. He's crazy. He's hilarious.
He was great in King Kong. He really was.
Yeah.
He's incredibly talented. So just as a musician, he is very good at what he does. So being able to combine theater, because he is artsy. I think he's very theatrical, even when he's playing a show, a gig.
Yes.
So I think it complemented really well, and I think overall the movie is insane. It makes close to 0 sense, and I love it.
I am one of those rare people that a lot of my close friends already know this. I'm a fan of horror, and The Pick of Destiny reminds me of a certain subgenre of horror. The movie is so bad that it's deliciously good.
That's true.
Would you?
I for my age group, my time versus you, I remember sitting out with friends, like on a couch, under the influence of some certain things, and laughing my ass off at that movie, and because it's ridiculously stupid. But it's hilarious, and I love Jack Black.
Yeah, I agree.
It's genius. The songs are genius.
As a grown adult, you get sucked in, and I legitimately was believing there was one pick of destiny that
if there was, I would have been hunting it down a long time ago.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, and it had that whole, I'm getting ready to age myself a little bit, but it had that whole devil went down to Georgia thing.
Oh, for sure. No,
or even for those of you who are 80s kids, the movie Crossroads with Ralph Macchio, where he had to play against Satan to keep his soul. So yeah, it had that same type of feel, but done in Jack Black's very interesting, unique point of view. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, yes.
So for a viewer that's watching it or going to watch, give me your little snippet of how would you sell this movie to them? What would you say to them hey, you need to watch this because of what?
So let's pretend that the movie's out, right? No one knows about it, and it's up to you to sell people on going to see this movie. How would you do that?
Let's think here, boys.
I threw him a curveball. He's like, it's not supposed to be this hard.
It's not even that hard. The sad thing is, it's such a good movie. And the really sad part about it is box office flop. Didn't even make the money back that, the budget that they originally had said anyways. And I think it is probably later. It's a cult classic, meaning when it came out, I don't think anybody really cared for it. I think when it came out, there was a couple better options, at the time. But if it was out right now, I would just look you dead in the eye and I would tell you it's hilarious. It will pull at your heartstring. You're rooting for these guys. They're idiots.
Yeah.
They're idiots.
Yeah.
I can relate to them on such a gnarly level.
Right. And that's
because
kind of like our first episode with Shaun of the Dead. That's why we love that movie. There's
that's
these
true.
two idiots, fighting through a zombie attack, and that's you get attached to people like that because we're idiots, right?
Yeah, we are. Well, look at what we do for fun, right?
Yeah.
So we are idiots, and just like in Shaun of the Dead, there were those moments of just that just like you said, pulled at your heartstrings, and I think it's this is where you have to give Jack Black, especially in that movie, a lot of credit, is to be able to go from that high comedy to drawing you to the character, right? And making you feel like, hey, this is important to me because it's important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, so it's basic. So it's a story you've seen a million times. It's a kid actually, whose parents are telling him like, the music is the devil. You're never going to be anything. Like, don't do that. Obviously, he doesn't listen. He goes straight to the beach and meets up with a stoner guy with a guitar, and it's like a rags to riches, where really you don't ever get to see the riches. At the end of the day, they go on an epic quest to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody is literally doing right now, is going on an epic quest to pay a couple
To
bills.
pay the rent,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt.
They didn't literally just fly off into the sunset. No, they got their rent paid, and Kyle didn't have to do disgusting things to Satan.
So, Matt, what is your favorite scene in Pick a Destiny?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say, I think the part that, let's just say the part that had drawn me in the most was when Jack Black literally gets to the beach. He's just trying to act like, oh, I'm so naive. He sees Kyle, playing the guitar, trying to make $1. He just like, that's what I want to do. Kyle's like, just get away, man. Nah, you're cramping my style. And Jack Black's just like, and I'm literally like, I was like the guy in the crowd, like, oh, dude, they got to be together. Like, this is going to be epic. Seeing Jack Black's heart like not even get crushed when Kyle's like, F off. He goes, sleeps on a bench, starts over the next day, and in the end, he gets what he's sent out to do.
Right.
Excellent.
Love it.
So I don't know if you can see the chat there across the bottom. Josh Irwin said that Meatloaf and Dio, rest his soul,
Yeah.
were both awesome in their cameos, and I have to agree with you on this one. Dave Grohl was perfect.
Agreed.
I tell you what, I am a huge Dave Grohl fan. The worst thing and the best thing about Nirvana was A, Nirvana, and B, the Foo Fighters. So yeah, so that's awesome. I tell you what, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, both of you. It's been so long since I've seen this movie. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I remember the overall plot. I remember Satan because he was hilarious. What about you, Steph? How long has it been since you've seen this movie?
It's been forever.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
You know who my favorite Jack Black character is? It's such a stupid movie, but it's so, to me, I just love it. It's one of my favorites. Saving Silverman. Saving Silverman. It's Jack Black and his buddy, the guy who plays in American Pie. I forget his name, but they're kidnapping their friend from his fiance to hook him up with the girl from school.
Yeah.
You know what movie I'm talking about
Yep.
now? He is absolutely peak Jack Black in that movie. He's so stupid.
All right, just so you know, Mar McGraw Gambrell just said if David Grohl is in this movie, she's going to go ahead and press play with a big heart on there because she doesn't care as long as Dave Grohl's in it. I know that I come second to Dave, and I'm okay with that.
Hey, he's in it, and he's great. He's great in it.
You know what's funny? I'm just going to say this about Dave Grohl. He really seems like the kind of guy that you'd like to hang out by his pool and have a beer with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll let that go.
I'd have a beer with pretty much anybody. Shit, Satan, I'd have a beer with him if he wanted.
Yeah. How you like this? I agree with you, Josh. His Jack Black's best role was probably in School of Rock.
Yeah.
It definitely was not Nacho Libre.
I do like him as the female in a male's body in Jumanji. I think
Oh,
he's
he
pretty
was
good at
great in Jumanji. I
That's
forgot
true.
about
Yeah, I
that.
thought he was
That's
good.
true.
Yes, Jumanji. You know what? We should cover that one. We
That'd
should
be
cover
fun.
Jumanji.
That'd
That's
be
That's
a
true.
fun one.
Coming soon on Press Play Streaming Studios, we review Jumanji.
So I'm with you on this one. It reminds me a lot of the movie Detroit Rock City. Okay, not a lot of people bought a really kind of, like you said, it wasn't a major blockbuster or whatever, but the fans for this movie are true fans of this movie.
I'd agree.
The movie Detroit Rock City is about a bunch of young kids who are trying to go across country, and all they want is tickets to go see Kiss in concert. And it's the same thing. It's the buddy movie, all the crap that goes wrong along the way until they find what their final destination
They
is. And
split
one
up.
is,
They get back together.
yep, for one, it's the tickets. For this one, it's challenging Satan to a duel because they have the pick.
And I've got friends, like literally, like we'll be out like somewhere, like hanging out, shooting pool or whatever the case may be, and literally they will start breaking out into Tenacious D songs just because of it, like just because. And that speaks to what you said, Matt, about how a cult classic this movie is because once you get into it, once you marry it, then it's kind of like a part of you, and then it's like little inside jabs with you and your buddies to quote these kinds of movies, and it makes it funny.
Yep, we do that kind of stuff all the time with just different movies.
Right.
It's so relatable. It's just so relatable to me, and honestly, I'm driven by music. I love music, so anytime I can, like even movies with bad soundtracks, I love it. So I don't know. I guess it kind of rolls together. I love the soundtrack because it's Jack Black. I think Tenacious D is decent, and it's just a silly, goofy movie. It's fun to watch. It really is.
It really is. I'll agree with you.
It's
right now, we don't have a lot of people in the chat. I know we've got a couple. Based on the description that Matt's given us on this movie, do you think this is something that you would press play or would you walk away from?
I'm going to start.
Go ahead.
Matt Million.
Yes, sir.
Easy money.
Easy money.
I'm walking away. I could not get into Tenacious D. I
have
tried. I sit there and I try to be cool with my buddies and recite songs that I have no clue. It's so long. I'm like, they're doing their thing and they're doing, your Jack Black rock, and this is a Jack
Power
Black
slide,
thing.
baby.
This
Power
is what
slide.
Jack Black does,
right?
And I'm just like trying, like, yeah, but I just, I tell you what, I would watch it again, just because it's been so long, and I'm, whatever.
You're sending me mixed signals. Are we pressing play or are we walking away?
I'm walking away.
Good.
I love
the honesty.
I'm gonna press play. Only because it has been so long, and like you're saying, you may. This is something that Matt may not know about me, right? I played in and out of rock bands since I was 16. If you look around where we're sitting now, you'll see at least one, if not two, guitars, and in the other room there's another
100
many. So I'm with you. The music makes a huge difference to me, and I also know that Josh Irwin is definitely saying that he's going to press play on this one. So it sounds to me like the majority of the crowd you've at least sold your point to.
Dude, the sad thing is I thought of a million movies to bring to the table, and this would happen. It flashed in front of me, and it caught me for a second, and then I started giggling and laughing. I have a feeling if you press play and you watch it, you're going to finish it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because Matt knows Cody.
Oh, cool.
Cody is another one of the
I feel sorry for you.
Press play people, right? He's my son and Stefan's brother. Matt was so concerned about this movie, he actually went to Cody and talked to him to find out whether or not we would dig it.
I tell you what, man, I'm walking away based on what I've seen, but I tell you what, if I sit down, it's on TV, I'll give it a shot. Why not? So I'll give you the mixed signals, those mixed vibes. Why not?
I'll take it.
And shout out to Cody, by the way. He is getting married we have his bachelor party this Saturday.
This Saturday.
If he's watching or going to watch, we love you.
Wish you'd come on the show with us sometime.
We wish we'd come on, and yeah, we're excited for you, buddy. That's all I got.
Yeah, I love you, bud. All right.
Oh, here we go.
So we're going to move into the main crust of the night, which is the Dark Knight. Matt, you want to hang around with us and talk about Batman?
Oh man, we ain't going nowhere. Keep going.
All right. So we're going to talk about the Dark Knight. I told Stefan earlier in the week. I said, "Hey, listen, when we're preparing for this one, I want you to basically lead the conversation." Anyone who knows me knows well enough that I'm not going to be able to keep my mouth shut. But I want Stefan to lead the conversation because of our age difference, right? I went into the Dark Knight movies, that whole trilogy, with a preconceived notion of who Batman was, right? I read the comics. I was there on premiere night when Michael Keaton's Batman premiered. I remember watching the original Batman TV series on reruns. Right, I wasn't old enough to be there for when they originally played. So I had this so I saw the movie from a completely different space than Stefan did, who walked into that movie going, "Yeah, okay, I saw the first Batman," which for him was the first of the trilogy. And then as we walked into the parking lot, he was like, "I now know who Batman is," right? So I wanted him to bring that perspective, and then I'll interject the old man to it a little bit. And Matt, wherever we're all family, so jump in wherever you please and make comments wherever you please. And chat, please talk to us like we did last week. We had so much fun. Stefan?
Yeah, so I mean that it came out in 2008. So I was a junior in high school, and it's just like any other movie. You see your previews, right? And you're hooked by the preview. And I remember I'm watching, flipping through the channels, and they had a preview for this movie. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm in. Batman, let's go. So I will never forget from the time that movie gets going, from the beginning to the end, you're almost sit there and your jaw's just sunk. And you're just like, every intricate scene. You could take every character and replace them with a normal person, and it would not change how the movie is, I think, because of how good the supporting cast is, the story is, you have everything. Because when you hear Batman, what do you think?
You think superhero.
It's a popcorn movie. Right? The Avengers are popcorn movies. Jurassic Park is a popcorn movie. Batman is a popcorn movie, but it doesn't feel that way at all just because of how intricate everything is. And I remember leaving the theater with you.
Me, you, and Cody.
And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. So here's the thing on this. He's got this right. Roger Ebert, who was a major movie reviewer back in the time, actually said Batman is no longer a comic book. It's not a comic book anymore. Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight is a haunted film that leaps beyond its origins and becomes an engrossing tragedy. I honestly believe that if this was not a Batman movie, if it was a detective and a psychopath criminal, it still would have worked. Because for the first time in any superhero movie history, they played the hero second, and the story first.
Right.
The only movie, and this is where I'm going to jump in for just a minute. The only movie before that tried that was actually Spider-Man 2. Up until the point in time that The Dark Knight was released, Spider-Man 2 was the absolute creme de la creme, number one best movie ever as far as superheroes were concerned. Where Marvel did is they tried to bring it into the real world, because what that story is actually about, it's about a man trying to learn his place in the world. Where they differed from The Dark Knight, though, is they leaned heavily into the fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
and the movie still played out well, to where Nolan said, no, I'm going to lean heavily into the man's story and let the fantasy take a back seat.
In the real world.
Exactly.
It's literally you're watching Batman, what Batman would be like in today's world.
Yes.
And Matt, what I mean, give us a brief rundown. I mean, what are your thoughts out the gate when someone says this movie? What comes to you?
I wasn't Batman on a surfboard TV series, old, but old enough to get the Clooney's, and I've seen some rough Batman.
If you saw Clooney, Clooney was on ice skates. It might as well have been a surfboard.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I knew it was. So I grew up loving Batman as a character, as a comic book character. Never was huge into the cinema, even though I had seen every one. I enjoyed them, didn't love them. This is what set the bar for me. Batman movies in general, it set the bar for the trilogy, that kind of came out with it. And because I think it pushed so many things happened because of how good Dark Knight was.
Absolutely.
I will be honest with you, and I told Stefan I'm letting him run it, but there's a couple of points that I have to make through the night, and just because you brought this up, now's the time. This movie did not just push the boundary; it rewrote the rule book.
Agreed.
It rewrote the rule book. DC really tries to be more dark. They try to be more grainy and grounded because of this movie. Where they fail is, instead of developing the story and the characters, they lean too hard in the fantasy. The Dark Knight took a group of characters that we all knew who they were going in. We knew who Batman was.
Right.
We knew who the Joker was going in. We knew, right? But they showed them to us in a different light.
And that was the light of of what they would be like in today's world.
Exactly. Exactly.
You have everything from, like the gentleman that finds the information about Bruce Wayne and the Batcave, if you will, and all of their projects and stuff. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to go and turn you guys in unless you give me blah, blah, blah money. And that is taken up because not only do you have your superhero villain storyline, you've got these little intricate stories throughout this movie about this guy who, hey, bad things are going to happen to you if I don't tell you tell everyone who you are. So it's got these little teeny tiny stories throughout the movie that it's literally, like I've been saying, it's like you're watching a crime mob movie. Almost.
It is. Josh Irwin has a great point here. He says, you have to realize the Joker is both the villain and the protagonist, just like Thanos in Infinity War.
And I think this is a good point to get to start talking about the Joker, because it's a Batman's movie, but it really is the Joker. Okay, Joker is Diana Ross, and everybody else is the Supremes. Okay, this movie's Heath Ledger's phenomenal. He's fantastic. He's the best villain in any superhero movie I think ever made. If you're a Jack Nicholson fan, get out of here. Jared Leto, get out of here.
Okay. Nicholson's just Nicholson. Okay, and he worked for that movie because he's Nicholson.
Sure.
Where Nolan was a genius when it came to the way he helped write and develop the character of the Joker, and of course Heath Ledger. There's no one that's ever going to be any better. Period. Bar none. I don't care who you are.
God rest his soul.
Oh, I'm telling you. This is going to go to what Josh was saying, because what a lot of people didn't realize is that, yes, he was crazy. Yes, he was saying all this. But when you listen to what he was actually saying on why he was doing what he was doing, he made sense.
Sure,
it made you go
crazy.
It made you go, oh, really? When he was talking to, when he was in jail, he was talking to Commissioner Gordon. and he's talking about how what was Alfred's big saying? Oh, some people just some men just want to watch the world burn. You know, the Joker knew that Batman existed, therefore he had to exist.
Mm-hmm.
So he had that duality that really worked so well in both being the villain and making you feel for him because he knows. Joker is Morris Day and everyone else is the time. Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Matt? What do you think about the Joker himself?
So the Joker, he first off, that was the best portrayal of Joker ever seen, ever watched, ever witnessed. I watch it over and over again because of him. I like the layers. There is a lot of layers throughout the movie. I think he set the bar right off the rip from the beginning of the movie, taking over, getting the money from the bank. You got to see, yeah, he's absolutely psychotic. He's probably a paranoid schizophrenic, but he is lightweight a genius.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't deny that. So honestly, this was the first time. So anytime I watch a superhero movie, for some reason, I always obviously want the bad guy to go down. I want them to lose. I hate them. I respected Joker. I thought he was a beast. I thought that Batman had his hands full. I thought it got to a point where I thought he deserved, to continue on. And it's absolutely nasty.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask a question to the both of you today. Josh, I agree. He's basically saying the definition of protagonist and antagonist is so blurred in today's culture. People have a different difficulty separating the protagonist from the hero. But I've got a question, Josh, and I'd love to hear your answer on this as well. So was in this movie, was the Joker trying to take down Batman? Stefan?
Absolutely, he was. That was the goal. I mean, their plan was, well, originally it was the mob, as everyone's getting busted because of Harvey Dent, and the Joker pretty much, told the mob flat out that the way that they are allowed to operate the way that they want to, and the only way to do that is to kill the Batman, as he says.
Okay.
So absolutely, he was trying to kill Batman.
You agree, Matt?
I think Joker was using the mob to play cat and mouse with Batman. It was never really about the mob with the mob. I think it was all about Batman. It was about cat and mouse. I think he needed that relationship to continue. I don't think he had anything else to live for. I think that it was either him versus Batman. If Batman's out of the equation, he's done. He doesn't. I don't think he wants to continue on.
So here's the thing. Josh says no. The Joker was simply looking to push him past his limits. They were two sides of the same coin. I find it really funny, Josh, that you actually use the coin analogy, because all right. So I have to pause this question and answer session for 1 second. Stefan will tell you that for the longest time, I hated the fact that the movie continued on past the Joker through the Harvey Dent section. I thought it was not needed and it felt tacked on. Since watching it, I've actually realized that the Joker's whole purpose was to create Harvey Dent, was to create this. He knew that Batman would be out there doing what Batman does, and he was trying to push Batman beyond his normal limits, like you said. But his whole purpose was to take Dent down, because he knew that Dent was the way, the mob, because he was going to use the law the proper way to stop the criminals of Gotham. He knew that in order to save Gotham for the criminals, he had to get rid of Dent.
It was his mission to convince everybody that there is no such thing as pure or good. The experiment with the ships on the water of, one blowing the other one up. it wasn't just a game to him. He wanted people to believe, like almost like a doctrine. Like to him, that's how things were. That's how things were for him. So he wanted to project that on everybody else. And he learned that that's not the truth. There are the good Harvey Dents before he was Two-Face. There are the Batmans.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
And what's really, I mean, the movie really makes Batman in that vigilante role and not the superhero role.
They do
Exactly.
push hot step.
Yeah, they push. It's like, I think the Joker wants to be what Batman is to the city, but in reverse. Everyone sees Batman as untouchable. We can't go out at night. We have this beam of light in the sky. We can't go out. But yet, I think Joker wants, he wants to control the city. At the end of the day, he wants to control. He's got his pawns in his game, and he's going to make Harvey Dent, a part of his plan and his team to take over the city.
Yeah, I agree. We have a Tyler. Welcome, Taylor D.
What up, Tyler?
Just posted. He says, "What do you all think the overall identity of the Joker's character? Is he best left nameless or given an identity like he has been in other Batman stories?" I think that exactly the way he was played in The Dark Knight is the only way to play him.
Absolutely.
So I said going into this movie that I had a preconceived notion of who Batman was. When we walked out in the parking lot, I literally looked at Stefan and I literally was wiping a tear off my face. And he said, "What?" I said, "Stefan, that is the absolute way that my mind always encapsulated the way the Joker should be."
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Tyler, to answer your question, I don't know what else. I don't know. I don't see the point of leaving him nameless. It's the little intricate things, and that's what. If you're a big fan of comic books and you like Batman, when he's handing out and you see his cards, the Joker cards exploding from the vehicle, the cheap suits, the knives, the way he dresses, his makeup. I mean, it's all a part of that legend, if you will, of what that villain to that comic book means. And I agree with you a little bit, Pops, about Harvey Dent. I thought when we first watched it, it was a little too much, but he was just so needed for that story to progress.
Yes.
Now, you can't change anything, in my opinion. I just think it was too perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I love this. Tyler, I don't know if you saw Josh's response to your question, but he said himself, talking of the Joker, that if he had a backstory, it would have to be multiple choice.
True.
And that's perfect. That's a perfect explanation. He also said in this particular movie that the Joker feels like he's kind of post-Iraqi soldier with severe PTSD.
Yeah,
and I can see
that's
that
deep right there, Josh.
That's real deep, Josh, because I had never really thought of it that way. But yeah, you're right, man. You're absolutely right. So, did it kind of feel like the Joker really couldn't be killed off at some points?
He was just so good. He was so good at. If you're so good at what you do, never do it for free.
No doubt.
He was just so good. What do you think, Matt?
Just listening to you guys, it's all these memories coming back from the movie. There's so many twists and turns that are like really good. They really take you almost by surprise. So, I mean, from the beginning of taking out every guy in front of you to the end of making the choice, Harvey Dent, it's insane how good this movie is. I even packed in the one movie. I think Nolan was amazing the way I love this movie.
I do too. And I love the way that Nolan wrapped it up. I mean, literally, it's not like
there was nothing left to be desired for me.
Yeah, unlike the new Batman movies where you've got 3 Easter eggs and 4 introductions to characters who aren't going to do anything but be in the next movie. He could have stopped this one right at the end of this, and everyone would have been like, "Yeah, he wrapped it up. He put a nice bow on it." But he was still able to go on and make the next one. So,
and this movie is a reason why we want to see. I think for people who are not big comic book people like us 3 are, but I think this movie, if you see that and you're not, that's going to make you want to see Batman versus Superman when it came out. It's going to make you want to see the Justice League. It's going to you want to see the new the Batman. The new one that's coming out here eventually, well, that's another subject for another day. But it's
eyes roll, eyes roll.
um, yeah, it laid the groundwork for a lot. I mean, it really did. I remember a little quick story. This was my third time seeing it in theater. I was in Florence. I was with my friend Hub. Shout out Hub, and it was a huge storm in the middle of the movie. Lost all electricity, and it was the interrogation scene, which is like breathtakingly good. And I remember I was so pissed that I had to stop and quit watching this movie. And it was the third time that I've seen it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, why am I getting mad? Whatever.
Yep. I agree. I agree. I think where DC has failed since this movie
and before.
Yeah, but we're gonna because this is the definitive cutoff line. We will not have Marvel the way we have it today if it were not for this movie. I will shout that from the rooftops to the nearest Marvel guy, because Marvel took some key things from this: story development, character development. I don't care if you know who Iron Man is. No one did when that movie came out. Only us guys who read the comics knew who he was. He wasn't even a B player. He was a C or D player in Marvel. All their A and B guys were gone. They developed their story first. They developed Stark just like Nolan developed Bruce Wayne.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Before this, it was more about the fantasy, not the people. This one made it about the people and then said, oh, yeah, and by the way, look at this bike this guy rides, right? Or look at the Joker and his makeup and the purple suit and the want me to show you a magic trick, right? One of my favorite scenes of any movie ever.
No, that's true, and it's powerful. And I think you bring up a good point. So one thing I don't think Marvel's ever been able to do, like what they did on The Dark Knight, is you have really essentially one superhuman, right? Which is not a superhero. Multiple villains, multiple bad guys. Whereas in Marvel, it's multiple superheroes and one bad guy. They're all fighting all the time. So they were able to really take one superhero and carry that through the entire saga. That's incredible. I never really thought about it like that until you said that.
Yeah, well, another thing is on that, though, is you got to keep in mind that Marvel, though, did take the time to have Iron Man by himself and Thor by himself. And, I mean, versus what DC did, which was relied on their intellectual property of going, everyone knows who Aquaman, Wonder Woman, she's the exception, Superman, Batman, and the Flash are. Let's just throw them into a movie and make a movie out of them. Right? They tried to be dark and grainy and what it'd be like in the real world, just like Nolan did, but they didn't develop their characters first.
And I really only think I agree with you a little bit when we're talking about, because we're talking like the Avengers series, right? Mostly. Right. But when I think of a Marvel movie that takes the Dark Knight mantle moving forward, when I just compare apples to apples, I think of a movie like Logan, the Wolverine movie. Yeah, when it comes to
Logan, absolutely,
like the darkness of things, the real life of things, the severity of how things would be, because in that movie obviously he's dying, right? So it's more cold-blooded. When I think the new Avengers, I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but it's a popcorn movie, like I said earlier.
It is.
I don't feel like the Dark Knight is that.
No, but what I was saying though is how the characters were developed and how not only did Tony Stark was he important to the movie, but you felt like Pepper Potts was doing something in the background, even when she was off screen, that was important to the movie.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because let's look at the cast of The Dark Knight, right? I mean,
the supporting cast is fantastic.
oh my God, there are so many A-level stars in that movie. I mean, how would you have ever thought back in 2008 that you could have gotten, you know, Michael Caine, right? And Morgan Freeman. The list just goes on and on of all the people who wanted and to be and were and just blew the roles away that they were in. That's one of the reasons why I love this movie. It's like every character in it, the ancillary characters are just fantastic. Everything's fantastic.
And Matt, I gotta ask.
And I love Morgan Freeman, by the way, in this role.
Gotta ask, Matt, what is your favorite scene from this movie?
My favorite scene. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I've brought it up twice even. I'm going to go with my favorite scene's the opening scene. It's what got me hooked. It actually got me like hooked back on to. I took a decent gap from reading comic books to really getting into cinema, and this kind of suckered me back in, and I haven't stopped since then. It's had a huge impact on me. So the beginning scene, it got me hooked. To me, I thought this is smart. Like, this is going to be smart. The amount of, I don't know, just the amount of thought that went into the very beginning scene. To me, I'm like, if this whole movie stays on par with what I just watched, I'm going to really enjoy this. And it did, and I did, and then it's a wrap.
Absolutely, and it does not let its foot off the gas.
Exactly.
That entire time, just every scene with Heath Ledger is just you're just so hooked by it because it's so phenomenal. Like you mentioned the pencil scene. That's your favorite scene from that movie.
Yeah.
I have so many.
Oh yeah.
And mine after rewatching it is there's two. And the first one is after that when the guy that puts the hit on Joker's head. I want 500,000 for him dead, $1 million alive, and they pull him in, and he hops out the bag, and he got the knife to his face, and he's in the theatrics of it all, and just the why so serious. That's why we get that classic slogan. It's just it's like goosebumps. It's like you're scared.
Yeah,
like
true.
I don't want to know what I hope. I don't want my child, my child or whatever. I don't want that childhood life. I don't want to see, it's scary.
I ain't about that life.
Yeah, I ain't about that life. I ain't
about that. So here's the thing, when we talk about the pencil scene, everyone knows, he puts the pencil in the desk. You want to see a magic trick? He kills the guy. He does the ta-da, which was pure Joker. What made that scene though was within the next 15 to 30 seconds when they were like, they're all getting up to kill him, and he pulls that jacket open, and he's got all the grenades on the inside, and he's got the tripwire on his thumb, and he's jiggling them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell at that moment he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
Make the move. I'll kill myself right here as long as I'm taking all you with me.
Mm-hmm.
That was where you got to the point where you're like, holy crap, this guy's serious.
The sad thing, if he pulled it, the only thing that would have happened is a flag would have came out under all the
pow, pow, water squirt.
It goes to what you said. Like, he doesn't care. There was nothing that was going to save him. It's all in your brain. He was so psychological. It's insane.
Absolutely. And just like you said, he doesn't care. And my other favorite scene is the dinner party scene. And it's the same similar concept as when he's going around, he's taking the glasses, and he's throwing the drink, throwing it, taking shrimp off trays, and and he's like, have you seen Harvey, blah blah blah. He don't care. It's his world, and you're just living in it, and that's why you love this. Love everything about it.
It makes him. That's what makes him so dangerous. Is if you can not relate to anybody. Me personally, I cannot relate to that. To me, that is another level crazy that I can get to. So just like that, to me, I'm just like, holy snap, that is insane.
Josh Irwin, chime in here if I'm wrong, but I think I'm correct that I think it was three separate times he asked about the scars, right? How did I
Mhm.
get these scars? I think Heath Ledger ad libbed most of that
No,
and purposely made all three stories different,
I love that.
Well, I mean, the way he did it, like like when you're watching some of
especially when he
those.
had the knife in his mouth.
Yeah. Well, not just that, the way like he would inhale in the mid sentence, or he would lick his lips, and little intricate things that just makes him so horrifying. Horrifying. And it's so intricate and crazy to me. You don't see anything like it. Okay, Thanos, you suck. Whoever, you're a superhero villain, you ain't got nothing on this dude. Period.
Yeah,
So I'm going to ruin a little bit of something for you. Do you mind if I ruin a
No,
little
you're
something
good.
for
I
you?
know Thanos. Okay,
No,
it was
no, no,
because of
no,
scars.
no. The
he's got
lip,
scars too.
the lip, where he was continually licking his upper lip.
Prosthetic.
The prosthetic was coming loose, so he was trying
Yeah.
to keep it up. That's the reason he kept licking his lip, but
Uh,
it worked
It
so
was
well for the
great. It
movie.
was
well,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. Or the way he shake his hair, and like when he's in the back, when he's in the car and stuff. It's just so good.
It's
So
perfect. I mean,
good.
he had every move that he did was just dead on. And Josh is right. After all that with the that scene, the pencil, and he's got all the
Yeah.
grenades, and he's whatever, and he has the audacity to leave the Joker as his business card.
Yeah.
And that was just that whole scene was just
And a little thing,
unreal.
like the Joker side of it is, I just want my phone call, and that whole scene,
Yep.
but I was locked up by Gordon's men, and Rachel was here, and Harvey was here. The whole thing is just a mind. You know what I'm trying to say? It's so intricate. Now I have a question for both you two. Uh, do you like Christian Bale as Batman in this movie?
Yes.
Matthew.
Love him.
Okay, so we'll do either or here. Michael Keaton, Christian Bale.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne. Christian Bale, Batman.
You know what? I could get on board with that.
Yeah.
I think the opposite. I think Christian Bale is a fantastic Bruce Wayne. His smug, every time I see him, I think of American Psycho still. He can be
Yeah.
Batman, but that's
I
what
mean,
I
I get it.
Well, so here's the thing. The Joker was not only trying to push him beyond his limits, right? He was trying to push him to kill
Mhm.
through the whole movie. Because he knew that once he pushed him to kill, then he would become what the Joker is, and Harvey Dent would take Batman down. That was the whole thing there, right? So I'm pushing him to kill so that he becomes an enemy of the state.
Mhm.
That's
But
a lot of time to invest.
yeah, but what the Joker did, Joker became not only a physical threat to Batman, he became an emotional threat to Batman because he took his choices away. I'm going to force you to kill me, which Batman doesn't kill, right? I am going to take your girlfriend away so that you can't make the choice to just stop being Batman.
Mhm. It's so powerful.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's
It's exactly what he did. He said, I'm going to take away the things that make you feel like you are who you are, so you can no longer be anything but that Batman, and then I'm going to take you down and make you an enemy of the state.
And if you could, Pops, I want you to put Tyler's comment, because this is fantastic.
This is
'cause this is
perfect.
not a good scene. Exactly. And that is, Tyler, that is what I'm talking about the real life of things in this movie. It's not Iron Man jumping off a building and shooting Loki with the palm of his fist. Okay, we're talking it's real people in boats. One of them's got to go if you do this, and the other one's got to do that. It's the guy getting, I'm going to blow up a hospital full of people if you don't do this or do that. And that's what makes this movie good, because you get the horror and you get the superhero side of things.
You get the um there's people out there in the world who think like this and who act like this and who will do things like this. It makes it, in my opinion, The Dark Knight is the closest thing to a horror movie that any um, superhero movie's ever been,
I agree.
because it's real life scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's real
Psychological
life scary.
warfare. So psychological warfare. You got people making decisions. Even Bruce Wayne, for him saying, by not taking off the mask, I'm going to keep killing people. That's what started the thing. What we were brought up just a second ago with the boats, with trying to get through one side or the other to pull the trigger, just to blow up the other people. It's a psychological warfare of what would you do?
Yep.
What would you have done?
Yeah, and that's what
You'd
makes you
like to
think,
say
and that's
you
what
do.
makes
Yeah.
that's what makes you think, and that's what makes movies good. Movies are good when you think. When you sit there and think, "Oh snap! What would you do? What would I do? What's gonna happen next?" That's what makes movies good.
Yeah, and it's not I'm going to make you think the way I want you to think, right? There's no agenda, right? They're not pushing some kind of an agenda or a political statement on you. They're just making you go, "Hey, this is so close to what's outside the door. What would you do if it were?"
Do I look like a guy with a plan?
I actually meant to bring a quarter back here so I could flip a quarter to make a choice during the show. So we're going to lighten the mood a little bit because we've gotten a little heavy. I told Stefan, I said, I think this would be would have been a great thing had we had time to do it. Would have been so much fun. To do like the face swap program, right? And put one of our face over Joker and put one of our face over like Batman, that kind of thing, and have it, and it'd be like, you want to know how I got. You want to know how I got these scars? Let me. Trying to drink soup straight out of the can. A horrible popsicle stick accident. You were running with scissors. But paper cut. You're not supposed to lick the envelope from the inside. Whatever, no, I'm sorry. I had to go there for a second. I had to. It was funny because we were first talking about it. Me and him both were just giggling like crazy.
Yeah. Lord, that's funny.
Anyway, so Josh Irwin had made this statement earlier, and I put it up on the screen while we're talking. I don't know if you all saw it or not, but the Heath Ledger improv when he flipped the button and the hospital didn't explode.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And then it was it was delayed, and then when he did, he literally jumped. Oh my gosh, that was, man.
Sad.
It's
sad.
It was.
It's sad that I mean,
it's funny.
It's sad. We don't get no more. You know what else is sad? That they made another one after this.
Well, the one after this. Well, here's the thing: the one before it and the one after it were both superhero movies.
Yeah.
This one wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I mean,
it doesn't matter who we are.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter what you think.
I like Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, I did too. I liked them. I liked all three of them.
I
don't think any of them. I don't think anything.
I'm not a hater.
I'm not a hater either. I think that it's
okay. I'm not a hater. I think of South Park.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds to me, and I'll ask you, Matt, are you going to press play on this movie?
I'm really going to have to think about this one.
All right. Should we get back to you, or
just get back to me on this one?
All right,
all I can say is, if you're not going to press play on this movie at this point, I think that we're just going to boot you from the channel. What do you think, Steph?
I'm pressing play.
Every time.
It's the best superhero movie ever made.
Every
point blank
time.
I'm a big. I love Avengers Endgame just because you're so emotionally invested in all those movies. But when it comes to just, throw this movie against any other movie in the ring, and they fight it out, Dark Knight's going to take it every time.
I will say this: if someone was to say to me, "Hey, pick 3 superhero movies, and we're going to sit down, we're going to order a pizza, we're going to grab a 6-pack of beer, and we're just going to just chill and have fun for the night," and I got to pick all 3 of them, it would be probably Iron Man 1, the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
It would probably be
I had to put Avengers Endgame in there. I bought that damn movie when it came out on Amazon for like $25 when it first came out. I was so into it.
yeah.
I mean, I
I
think
was going to
that.
say Winter Soldier. Okay.
Yeah.
And Dark Knight. It would be those three movies. I think to me they are up until this December when the new Spider-Man movie comes out. I think those three movies are the pinnacle of what superhero movies can be and should be.
All right,
Matt, you got to pick 3 movies that go into a ring. What are they? Superhero movies.
Let me take a.
That's right. You take
Pinky
your time.
up.
Okay, I'm going with that to be superhero.
Just for this conversation.
All right, for this conversation, first off, to answer your question, I would press play, and then I would rewind it and press play again for Dark Knight.
I agree.
But for top 3, I think a Dark Knight is super close to me. I would definitely choose that top 3. Maybe not number 1, but definitely number 2. I like Avengers Endgame was awesome, but I really like Black Panther.
Okay.
I got you on that one. That was
respect.
actually one of the ones in my head that I was toying with.
Respect.
So that would be my top 3. I would say probably Black Panther number 1.
I like that. That's
yeah,
good.
I like that too. Are you excited about the sequel that's coming out?
I am excited. It's like
Bittersweet.
I don't know. Bittersweet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do great. I am anxious to see it. I do think I am going to like it. I just know it's not going to be the same.
Agreed.
I love this comment because you're right. Winter Soldier is the closest Marvel ever got to this movie.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Josh Irwin says Winter Soldier, this movie, which of course is The Dark Knight, and Blade 2.
Wow, Blade 2. I forgot all about that.
Blade 1 was awesome though.
and honestly, you know what I'd put in the ring? I'd put Deadpool in the ring. I love Deadpool.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
That is true.
I thought it was hilarious.
That's hard to ask.
And here's the thing with me.
I would not put any of the X-Men movies in there. I don't know about
Logan.
Logan, absolutely, but the other one.
Deadpool 2 is so close to being as good, if not better, than Deadpool 1.
I think it's because it has your characters that you love.
Well, and that is, yeah. I'm probably looking at it. I'm probably looking at it with a little bit of nostalgia on it because growing up, Colossus was my favorite X-Man. So yeah, that's probably me with those on. What are you laughing about?
Nothing.
You're making fun of me for Colossus?
No, Colossus is great. It's funny that I actually do. So growing up, personally, I was more into X-Men comics, graphic novels over everything else. Like that's
me too.
So X-Men pulled me into, I don't know, I think it was the mutants. Whereas, I don't know, like Batman, there's nothing really special about him besides the dough that he has and the commitment that he has. You know what I mean? And so you get to
it's the pure will that makes
Batman who he is. It's the will, and that you can relate to that. And I guess I couldn't really relate to being a mutant. I'm not, but I am just like I want to be. I wish I was.
Right.
And I was the same way. I think when I was a kid, it's like I'm going to do a comparison. It might be a wild one. To me, comic books are like the NBA, if you're a basketball person. I don't like any teams, but I like players from different teams. When I was a kid, I loved Wolverine. He was awesome. I loved Iron Man. I loved Captain America. I loved all these different characters, but I never really could pick one or the other because I think when I was younger, I was more of like X-Men. I feel like that,
Well, he got that love from me. The Wolverine love. I think you got.
I mean, I was probably it probably took me till I was 18 years old for you to like establish like who's DC and who's Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's I get that. I can relate to that.
Yeah, and I think this is why that we all gravitated to the X-Men. I think he hit it on the head here. He was in the X-Men because anyone could be a mutant, right? I'd never be able to be Batman or Iron Man, But
unless Press Play Streaming Studios takes off, baby, and then next thing you know, you're looking at Tony and Bruce coming to you live.
how do you all think the passing of Heath Ledger affected the third movie, if at all? I don't think it necessarily affected the movie because the Joker was never planned to be in the third one. Um, uh, he met his demise the way he was supposed to. I think the only way it really affected it was just the reverence that Nolan showed because of his passing. And that would have been on set with actors more so than in theater with us.
And Ty, I think this movie was too classic, too legendary, too. You can never say never. I just don't see it.
Well, yeah, and the fact that he kind of forced the Batman to let him go.
Yeah,
That's true. I think it was a little lowbrow how they played Heath Ledger. You know what I mean? They try to capitalize on an unfortunate event, and everybody. I remember this to this day. People saying he was so into his role, he lost it. He went over the edge. He just can't. It was an accident. Is what really happened.
Well, the problem was, and it's unfortunate because I think he was one of the best budding actors of the time. But you put someone into a mind screw that role can be, and then get them on drugs and alcohol abuse at the same time. There's no coming back. He OD'd. I'll just stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just because it's sad.
It's sad, and it's just you lose these people that you love, man. They're actors, but they're superheroes to us.
The Crow.
It's like the guy from and I'm not comparing to audience. I'm not comparing Heath Ledger to Chadwick Boseman. I'm not doing that, but I'm just saying, losing these people. It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
It's like you lose your favorite musical artist. You lose your favorite actor or actresses. Your favorite fast food restaurant closest town. It means something to you.
When I went to the theater, Josh Irwin, I think you and I talked about this at one point in time. When I went to theater and saw The Crow for the first time, the original Crow, the only one that was worth a darn, knowing that Brandon Lee died filming that movie, I literally sat in the theater when the lights came up and tears were still rolling down my face. And my friend looked at me and goes, "Man, what's wrong?" I said, "Dude, we're never going to see him again. We're never going to see him again."
Yeah,
this role was perfect for him.
It's wild.
And yeah, so, and then they tried to capitalize on it by using the exact same makeup that he designed through the comic book and the way he didn't design the face makeup, right? But in order to get the look he did, he had him apply the makeup the night before, and he went home and went to bed wearing it, so it would be all smudged and whatever. And every movie after that, they said, "Oh, you got to do it this way because this is the way Brandon did it." And yeah,
that's insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's anyway. So let's not end on a down note. Let's
Never.
No, I knew that we would go down this path with this movie because let's face it. I mean, Heath Ledger was great. The Joker was fantastic. I still love Morgan Freeman. I love him and everything. And that was the longest night of his life. Love everything about it.
Which we got to do that movie too.
Yes, we do. And to see his career starting on the Electric Company. That's where Morgan Freeman started.
Where to go?
A kids show called The Electric Company.
So let's say. I mean, we're in the hour mark here, so let's end with something fun.
So what about next week? Do you have any ideas? Because I do.
No, we haven't really talked about it. But before we get to that next week, I gotta say, Christian Bale's Batman.
Yes.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer,
or Michael Keaton. You know the scene in The Dark Knight where they have the pull stick?
Yeah.
Who comes out alive? Those three.
Christian
Bale.
Bale is a machine.
He is. I mean, look at him now. Even, he's playing Gore the God Butcher in the new Love and Thunder movie. He's what? Close to 60 now, I think, or in his 50s now, and he's still a machine. God, he's great. Oh.
Okay. So what is on the itinerary
I'm
for next
thinking that Josh is saying Keaton. I'm gonna tell you, I love Keaton as Batman. I really did.
I
I
do
thought,
too.
you know, what was funny is because I remember, he was doing movies like um, Mr. Mom and all these comedies, and people really threw a fit about him being that Batman. But I'm gonna tell you what, 15 minutes in the movie, all the naysayers were like, "Holy crap,
No, I think he
he
did great.
did, he did great."
George
Um,
Clooney's got to be up there with the best boys.
And
Yeah,
on that note,
well,
we'll see you next week. Everyone say thank you. No. All right. So hang around for a few minutes. I'm going to put you into the back into the green room. Hang around for a couple minutes so we can talk to you after cast,
Sure, I'll be here.
and then we'll go from there.
Everybody, thank you, Matt.
Thank
I
you, Matt. You've
appreciate
been
it, man. You've
great.
been
We
great, dude.
appreciate you.
Hey, thank you,
Come back,
boys.
come back anytime.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. So next week, what do you say? By the next Thursday night, we'll have Loki season 1 and 2. Why don't we do a review on both of those?
Are we getting the whole thing?
Episode 1 was this week.
Okay.
Next week will be episode 2. We can do both of those.
Sure.
Sound like a plan to
I'm
the
in.
room?
I am in on the mischief.
I'm in on the mischief too, and I tell you, I haven't seen the first one yet. I've been purposely avoiding any type of social media on it whatsoever because I have a feeling that this is going to be the one. I really do.
It's gonna break it open.
It's gonna blow it up.
I agree.
And that being said, I'm also going to say one more thing. I think that next week we may also talk about a newer movie. Maybe not in detail, but it's one that Stefan loved. Not so much here. We'll find out next week. Stefan, why don't you take us off tonight?
I just want to thanks everybody for coming out tonight. We enjoyed it. This is one of my personal favorites. Make sure you click all the links. We're on Facebook. Subscribe here on YouTube. You can find us on pretty much any major place to find a podcast. At the end of the night, guys, we just want to take the time to sit down, family, friends, or by yourself. Pick up the remote, sit back, relax, and press play.
Press play. Thank you all. We appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And it really helps if you'll leave a comment. You all have a great night. Thank you very much.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman. Anyway, good night, everybody.